When skies were dark came Noah's Ark. Amen.
Hello again, Wakulla County, and welcome to the Wakulla Summer Sunday radio program. I am your host, Herb Donaldson. It's been said that the definition of religious is to do good work. Nothing to do with faith in a particular being, ritual, or building built by the human hand, but simply to do good work. However, good for one may not be good for another. I've never truly considered myself a religious person, but more of a seeker, in search of the signs, those touchstones that illuminate the path before me. That road almost always leads to more questions. One question in particular has plagued my family for almost 30 years. It's something we speak about, but not often, because it hurts too much. It has to do with the ripple effect of one's life and how the actions of one person can affect, to a great degree, the lives of those around them. This episode is an exploration of how good work reaches out beyond the doors of a church to lay a hand upon the larger society, and how we all are affected, even me, when we least expect it. I met with Brent Thurman, Clerk of Court for the Wakulla County Courthouse. At the moment, court was winding down from an earlier session. Come through here a day. And what did you call this?
Misdemeanor court.
Misdemeanor court. How many
It's
cases?
the lesser statutory violations and criminal acts. DUIs and some domestic issues and that type of thing would be at this level, and then if they're more serious or more, in the case of DUI, either a higher blood alcohol or more repeat violations, then they move up to the felony court, which is usually held in a large courtroom and is more serious situations. Today was called docket sounding, and it's really just kind of a progress monitoring of the cases. There was no jury here today. There was no trial per se, although some people may have pled out and been adjudicated and had their sentence pronounced. That happens pretty much every time there's court. That's the point where some people choose to go ahead and wrap things up and accept some type of resolution that the state attorney has agreed to, and sometimes they have an attorney and their attorney has participated in whether that's agreeable. Other times they've chosen to resolve it without even having an attorney and just spoken to the state attorney and
resolved it there. So how long does the process take to get to this point? When somebody being arrested to actually standing here and going through something like this, how long is that process?
The type of court we had today would probably be, on average, about 6 weeks at a minimum from when they were arrested. When the judge left, she was going to do first appearances, which is where a person is arrested and at the jail and has a right to have an initial hearing before the judge within 24 hours of them being arrested. That's the very beginning, and some people are just booked and released and don't have to go through a first appearance, and then some people have to go through a first appearance where there may be a bond, a bail level set, for them to perhaps bond out of jail. They may be released without there being a requirement for that. That's what the first appearance part of this is, and so you may have 3 or 4 docket sounding dates before you actually asking for a trial by jury, or at some point deciding that there's an acceptable plea offer that you're going to take, and not go all the way through the final process and take your chances with a jury of your peers.
Is there anything that stands out about the judicial system in Wakulla County that might be different than something in Leon County?
Anything that deals with human beings, there are differences. The concept behind the justice system in America is to bring a level of equality and not to have differences that would make people have less rights or more rights in some area than another. So I don't want anyone to think that just because, yes, there probably are some differences, that automatically is a bad thing or a good thing, and that a person is at an advantage or a disadvantage if they have a case here. we have one county judge and one circuit judge. That alone changes the dynamic in that it's obvious from day one who the judge is going to be on a particular misdemeanor case. It's obvious who the judge is going to be on a felony case. And of course, now we're just talking about criminal. There's a whole different side of the court process for the civil environment, which involves a number of things on the county court side. For instance, this very courtroom yesterday morning held a very serious hearing where the parents of a very small child had to both be in the courtroom, and the father had his rights as a parent terminated. And so, that's a civil matter, but it's certainly a very serious court matter, and was a particular interest in our community, in part because in that particular case, the father who relinquished his rights and lost his rights as a parent is accused of murder and of attempting to murder the child's mother as well. So it's very, very, very traumatic and dramatic morning for all involved here. Perhaps that's one of the things that is also different about a small county like ours is, a larger community that has 1 million people in it maybe can be a little bit more desensitized to some of the trauma that is represented by the people on all sides, the accused person, family members, the victim. In civil cases, sometimes it's state and children and families, sometimes it's just a person who's in dispute with another person over a financial matter, divorces. There are many, many traumatic situations that come through the court system here.
He took me into the main courtroom, where years ago I was among a number of students who performed there in a play, a courtroom drama. Everything now has been remodeled, right down to the removal of the gray duct tape that kept portions of the ceiling from dropping in. This courthouse is not the original courthouse of Wakulla County, correct?
That's correct. The old wooden courthouse, which is across the street, was built in 1892 and occupied in 1893 and served as the courthouse up until this facility was built in 1948 and occupied in 1949. As you may know, the old wooden courthouse is probably the oldest wooden courthouse in the state of Florida that's been preserved beautifully, magnificently, with the renovation that the Chamber of Commerce did on it, and got some grant money to help them and raise some money locally, and did a great job with that. I mean, that is second to no restoration anywhere in America as far as I'm concerned. They did a great job with that. But that was actually the courthouse and held all the court activities up until 1949 when it was moved over into the newly completed then 2-story courthouse facility that we have here. This third floor and this wing was added onto this courthouse in 1991. What we did in the renovation of the existing building here was a phase 1, but there's a phase 2 that already has the plans paid for and designed for expanding this courthouse so that we can add a third courtroom and enhance some of the security features and address some of the growth needs that are likely to come as the economy picks back up and as this area continues to be a desirable place for people to move to.